So I think out of any video that I've ever made, this one is probably the longest due. I'm gonna explain to you why I think the CAT S48c is the best mining phone. And I stumbled into it by accident. I didn't even know anything about Verus before I bought these phones. But the way I've figured out about CAT phones was way back in the day, back in the days of when I had an S5, I was looking for phones to replace my S5, and I started like researching phones, and then I noticed rugged phones were cheaper than flagships, but they almost had the same specs, and I was like, oh, I wonder why, and it's probably just because it isn't the S23 Ultra, right? So I'm at work, and some person at my work found a five phone rack stand charger thing, and I was like, yeah, man, that's perfect. I was running an XYO phone, XYO script farm at the time, and I wanted to get into Verus mining. And I was like, okay, he gave it to me, and I was like, you know what? I need to go find a lot of five phones to fill that, and I'm gonna get into Verus. And I literally was looking through five phones. Like I went on eBay, went smartphone lots five, couldn't find anything, and then I was like, thought back to the days of when I was researching phones, and I thought I should look up smartphone rugged lots. And I found five CAT S48Cs in a lot. Now, I paid way too much for them, but it ended up being a great phone for mining, and I will tell you why. But before I even bought it, I didn't know anything about processors. I didn't even know there was 32-bit ROM or 64-bit ROMs for phones. So like, I got pretty lucky. I didn't even know that there was, the difference between MediaTek and Snapdragon. So like me finding these phones was completely out of luck. But yeah, so now the reasons why I like these phones. Okay, one of the biggest reasons is the back comes off super easy, and it makes cooling it a breeze. Like all you do is instead of trying to take off the adhesive and you just take your Allen key and it comes off no problem. Also, they're built like tanks. They're rugged phones. They're meant to be in construction sites. They're meant to be thrown around. And I have this theory that, that these phones are going to be able to mine for a long time. And yeah, I like that. And software wise, I've never had a crash. Even when running like the old Verus miner that used to crash on phones all the time, Verus miner would always work on them. So yeah, so right now I have I set this phone up, and I'm gonna benchmark it for a little less than 24 hours, but from now until tomorrow after work, and it's on the pool.verus.io, and we'll take a look at the graph. But yeah, honestly, best phone. And like I already know that they average out anywhere from 4.5 all the way up to 6 megahash a second, but we'll take a look at the graph. So here's where the phone will be living for 24 hours. Um, this is my only CAT phone that actually has a problem. Sometimes the charging port is a little loose and it doesn't charge sometimes. But if we are charging right now, so it should be okay. But yeah, we should go over the specs of the phone. So I will show the specs of the phone right now, and then we'll get into the graph. So here are the specs for the CAT S48c. So this is the only problem for some people, but it's running Android 8.1, and that's the highest it can go. But the version I have is 4 gigabytes of RAM with a 32 gigabyte storage, and it's running a Snapdragon 630. And I couldn't really find too much information on like what the cores are running at, but every single website with the review or like with the information of the Snapdragon 630, so that all 8 cores can run up to 2.2 gigahertz. So that's why this phone gets what it gets. And like honestly, it is a middle down the road. I don't know. It's just great. I love it. I love it a lot. Okay, so we've been mining for about 20 hours now, and if you look at this graph, like woof, like we've got some highs of 8.25, and we did not dip below 2.39. Like that is freaking sick. And we look at our average here, 5.10. So let's just take our 5.10 here. We'll just go to mining calculator, 5.10. Let's calculate that. Yeah, and that's roughly pretty much giving us 50 cents a day, which is, or not 50 cents, 5 cents a day, which is awesome. And it's the next day. Yeah, I let it benchmark for almost, 20 hours. But yeah, as you can see for the performance, it's very like mid-range, and it's not an extremely good phone. Like, it's not an extremely good hash rate, but you know what? It's not a bad hash rate. Uh, these phones, like they are the Toyota Helix of the mining phone. And a part of me kind of wishes I didn't open my mouth about them because when I first started looking for phones to buy, saw millions of lots of them on eBay. Now there is zero. If you are wanting to get a phone that's similar, there is the Kyocera Duraforce Pro 2. It has exactly the same specs, but I've never tested it, so I don't know how it'll do. But you could try that out. But yeah, honestly, best mining phone, absolute tanks. If I could, I would trade every single phone I have for a CAT phone. I just have this feeling that the longevity of them is just they're gonna outlast every other phone I have. So yeah, they are the king of the mining phone, and nobody can tell me otherwise. But if you have any other suggestions of cool phones, I'm always down to try other phones. It's cool. I'm actually just bought a lot of phones off a buddy, and I'm getting a TCL10 5G UW, and I think I'm gonna do a benchmark of that just to see how it is, because I've never even heard of the phone before. I forgot to add this one thing, and this is the only flaw of the phone. But when you are like putting in the charger, like make sure it clicks, because if you just slide it in and you don't hear a click, it'll just slowly charge, and the mining will outmine the power that is charging, so it will slowly trickle and die. So you got to make sure you click. You got to hear that click when you plug it in. But that's its only flaw. That is it. But yeah, all my affiliate links for everything I use are down below. Don't forget to comment. That really helps. Liking, that really helps. And if you want to see more, subscribe. And I'll have more. Well, I wouldn't call this review. I would call this more of just boasting about the the greatest phone I found. So yeah, thanks.